Hey everybody, it's Maggie at Lead and Love Canine, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that I get asked about frequently. It's one of the training tools that I use on a regular basis here at Lead and Love Canine, and it is this, the Prong Collar. When used correctly, this is one of the most humane, gentle, effective tools that you can use in dog training. I think it's really important that people don't always believe everything that they see or read on the internet. Get out there and see for yourself, do your own research, and learn how to use the tools the correct way. It's also really important to remember that the tools don't train, the training trains. So the tool, no matter what it is really just a way to communicate with your dog. And that's how I use prong collars. It's a way to communicate. So basically, I'm going to start out with showing you guys the three main sizes of prong collars that I use. I also wanted to mention that it's very important that when you're purchasing a prong collar for your dog, you want to choose the Herm Springer brand. It's the best, the highest quality, and I strongly suggest that you steer clear of any of the cheaper knockoff versions, the ones made in China. Sometimes you can find them at the big box type of pet stores, but you know, the prongs tend to be a little bit on the rough side, and when you check out the Herm Springer prong collars, you'll notice right away that these are not sharp. They're actually quite dull, so that's important. So here is the larger size prong collar. I use this on dogs that are, anywhere over 50 to 60 pounds, depending on the dog. It is quite large, and it's pretty rare these days that I actually use one this big, but that's the large. This is the small. This is the size collar that I use most frequently. If you compare it to the large, you can see the size difference. It's pretty significant. And then yes, believe it or not, it is possible to use a prong collar on a very small dog or toy breed dog. This is a micro prong collar. I use this on dogs usually under 10 pounds. You can see compared to the small Herm Springer, the size difference there. See that? It's really tiny. Now, the micro prong is not made currently by Herm Springer. You do have to purchase these online, and if anyone's interested in how to go about finding a tiny micro prong collar, just hit me up on email, leadandlovecanine@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to steer you in the direction of where you can get one of these. So those are the three major sizes that I use. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring my little dog Jinx up here, and he's going to be my model, and I'm going to show you guys how to put on, size, take off, and attach your leash and get going with the prong collar. Okay, so one quick thing before we get going with bringing Jinx up here, and before I start the demo on how to put the prong collar on. Sometimes it's easier to demonstrate this off the dog rather than with the dog. So the prong collar is meant to be put on and taken off by unlinking and relinking the prongs. And so you can see that. So what happens is you're going to put one side in first, like so, and then you're going to squeeze and slip the other side in. And if you do it like that, it tends to go together easily and without a ton of effort. Where I sometimes see people struggling is when they try to, muscle this, squeeze both sides together at the same time, and then cram it down in here to the next link. It's just a little bit more difficult that way. So remember, you can put one side in, and then squeeze and slip the other side in. I hope you guys could see that okay. All right, let's get going with Mr. Jinx. Okay, so it's important to remember that with the prong collar, it does not slip over the dog's head. Once in a while I'll see people using prong collars and putting them on, and they'll think that they can just leave it attached and just toss it over the dog's head. It's not the way that the prong collar is meant to be used or fitted. So what you want to do is you want to take your prong and put it around your dog's neck. Now you're probably going to have to add or remove some links, but you want it to fit fairly snugly, okay? So I'm just going to attach this to Jinx right here. You can see how this is just fitting up pretty high. Up here behind the ears is where you really want this to sit once it's on your dog. Now, how sensitive your dog is important. So you may need to add or remove a link according to how your dog is reacting the first time the prong collar goes on. But the important thing is that you have the links securely fastened. You don't want anything coming loose. I'm going to address that in a little while. And you'll see that the collar has two rings. One is an O-ring. So let's spin this around. This is the O-ring right here. This is also called the dead ring. And right here is another ring that looks more like a D shape. The D-shaped ring is the ring that you're going to want the leash to go to. So we'll get our leash and attach it here to the D-ring, like so. Now, the next thing that I tell people when they're using a prong collar is that equipment can fail. These collars can come apart on a walk, especially if you're working with a dog that is a pretty severe puller. So you always want to have a safety backup. And for a safety backup, I use a carabiner. So our little carabiner here. And what you're going to do is you're going to attach the carabiner to the O-ring or the dead ring of the prong collar, like so. And then again, over here to the ring on the buckle collar, like this. Now, you can see that Jinx is attached both by the prong and the carabiner to the little ring on his buckle collar. So this means that if the prong collar were to come apart for any reason, he would still be attached to his buckle collar by way of the carabiner and the prong collar. So it's a great safety backup. I always recommend that. Don't forget to do that, especially if your dog doesn't have good recall. He comes loose, comes out of his collar. You want to make sure that you have that. So I'm going to take this off and show you how to take the collar off. It's really easy. Again, if you just kind of push that up right there, push that prong up real high, and then squeeze and pull the links actually apart, like so. It comes apart very easily. I think that another thing that's really important is that when you put this collar away, when you're done walking your dog, don't reattach the prongs and put it in a drawer like this. Sit, Jinx. Good. Keep it open. And then I like to hang mine by the ring. I have a little leash rack by my door, and I just hang it like that. It really helps the collar from getting tangled. And the other problem I have seen is that if you have multiple people walking the dog, multiple household members, they get the collar. If you put it back together, sometimes it's easy to mistakenly not get the prongs completely attached or completely seated together. They can be kind of like halfway in, halfway out. And then somebody else in the home comes along and opens it in another location of the collar. And unknowingly, if there's an area that's not secure, that can come apart. Another reason to always use the carabiner. So that's it. If you have any questions about the prong collar, please drop me a line through email. That would be leadandlovecanine@gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.